You all, it's Rodney. Welcome back. It is Dirty Air. Glad to be with all of you guys. It is midweek. It is Wednesday. What is it? Wednesday, December the 13th. Holiday season is upon us. A little bit of a pause with some racing stuff. So hopefully everybody is getting set for a great holiday season, spending a little downtime, enjoying time with family and so forth. This is another Dirty Air special on the Dirty Air page, as well as on the RPM Sports and Multimedia YouTube page. I've gotten so many great. I've got a lot of really good feedback on the couple of, I guess you call them retrospects that I did or have done to this point. Just with some of the great moments in NASCAR racing. Obviously, there's a lot of folks that maybe not the biggest fans of the shit that's going on right now, and obvious reasons. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know if that's going to get any better, because just some of the stuff that I've been watching, via social media and different media sources as to what's going on to, I guess, better enhance that race car. And some of the racing that we're watching right now is they're working on spoilers, they're working on different nuances, maybe talking about a narrower tire and everything. I think that could be something that could help. I mean, spoiler thing and all of that, the aero and all of that. I mean, this is something, it seems to be that we're back to the drawing board each and every time. That seems to be where everybody, the sanctioning body likes to go to work on those things. Pretty obvious to me, and I think many others within the industry and different places, that what you need to do is we need to get a little pep in the step. We need to get a little kick in the ass, and these cars need to shit and get. We need to get some horsepower in these cars, and that's going to be what's going to make things better. But that doesn't seem to be the route that they're looking to go right now, and that's totally fine. I mean, I totally understand that there's a lot of R&D that goes into this, and that's where they're going to continue to work, and that's fine. And maybe the product does get better. I mean, to me, the car has done it's done one thing. I mean, it's leveled the playing field somewhat to where we do have teams that are competitive at times that maybe wouldn't have been in the past, other than super speedway races, which ironically is what we're going to go back to today and reminisce about. But at the same time, we're also going to, I prelude that with talking about horsepower, because that's also going to be the request that I got for the one that we're going to go back and share together today here on Dirty Air. But before I dive into that, of course, I do want to thank a lot of great folks. Of course, right there, Performance. Those are great partners of mine. And of course, very excited over the weekend at PRI. Now, Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet, GM Performance Parts, the official provider of Crate Racing USA. So that's going to be a massive get for Rogers Dabbs. And man, I'm so looking forward to help grow dirt track racing on the super late model side. Really looking to make a push down here into Texas when it comes to crate motors and so forth. And there'll be details forthcoming about that. And of course, also, I do have to thank my great partners at On Demand Shirts. I'm actually wearing one of the brand new Dirty Air t-shirts that have now been dropped by my great friend James Cole and his group in Texas at On Demand Shirts. They will hook you up with all of the racing apparel that you're looking for. Not really able to, it's still the same logo here, but on the backside, I can't really stand up and I don't have a camera angle to where I can show you, but the backside of the shirt is really badass. It's got a race truck, it's got an asphalt modified, and it's got a dirt car on it. So it's really cool stuff. I'll have those available next season once I get out and about and so forth. And of course, I have Dirty Air caps. Thank you for all the folks at Pensacola that were looking for those. And again, a huge thanks to all the folks at Pensacola that reached out. I really enjoyed meeting a bunch of the dirty airheads out there in Florida and folks that check out the program. But to business at hand here, what we're doing with this little special, little drop, and that's the beauty of checking out the YouTube page, and you get it on the Facebook page as well. But I really do want to promote the YouTube page, is that you get some of this bonus random bullshit content that I like to drop, especially right now in the off season. So along the lines of what I'm talking about right there, with lack of horsepower and aerodynamics and all of that, it all comes together, and we can really. I think I triggered this back. I think I did one of these a couple of weeks ago, to where I was talking about it was between the 79 season. No, I take that back. It was between the 80 season and the 1981 season, to where NASCAR implemented and went from the full bodied, the big cars, the Lagunas and the big Monte Carlos and the big Thunderbirds and Pontiacs and everything that was happening at the time, to the small boxier 110, 112 maybe wheelbase it was in 81, where you had the Regals and the Oldsmobile Cutlass and the Thunderbirds and all of that. That's when kind of the aerodynamic thing really started to become more at the forefront of everything that happened right there. And it was a lot of development that went in to try to make those cars that they just could not cut through the wind. They were not designed to do that. And that's where, stock car racing was what it was back in those days, because those cars were not built to do that shit that we were. And that's the beauty of street stock racing right now. Why I love street stock racing on pavement and dirt is because we're trying to manipulate these unibody race cars to do shit that there's no fucking way that they were designed to do that. But we try to make them do it, and a lot of people do it extremely well. But as time went on through the 80s, things got a lot better. You got probably around 1983 and 84. That's when Chevrolet decided that they were going to slope the window on the Monte Carlo and make it more of a super sport, to where it had that just huge back window, and everybody else followed suit. Ford really started to massage and change the body lines on the Thunderbird. Pontiac radically changed the car that Pontiac was running at the time, to where you go back and you look at the 81 and 82. It's just a very boxy car with a very square headlights and just a very square, boxy ass on the Pontiac. And by the time you got to 85, 86, 87, 88, I mean, look at Rusty Wallace's 89 Kodiak Pontiac. That's probably the best one that would jar your memory, is if you go back and you look at that thing, where it was totally rounded. It had the slope window, and it had all of the body lines and everything that were just totally different from anything that we had seen in the past with all that. But the title of this is The Day That Could Have Ended Racing. And this has been requested a lot of times from my friends in Alabama. And again, you folks, you can reach me at the Rodney R. You can message the Dirty Air Facebook page. There's lots of different ways where you can get a hold of me. Just message me directly on Facebook if we're Facebook friends, and make those requests. And I would love to break those events down. But it was the 1987 Winston 500 at Talladega, and by that point we were seeing. Bill Elliott was reaching, Bill Elliott's breaking records, going 212, almost 213 miles an hour. Average qualifying times of the fields in NASCAR Cup races there at Talladega and Daytona were well north of 200 miles an hour. And it got to the point where these cars, and these were still resembled very much stock cars. I mean, it's not anything near, what we see today. And God forbid, not anything near at the time with Indy cars, because we watched Indy cars that were traveling just in excess of, 220 miles an hour or whatever. But those were specifically designed to slipstream and do what they were intended to do at the time. But these were still very much stock cars that these guys were it was just so much horsepower behind or under the hood of these power plants of these NASCAR stock cars. And you had the 87 Winston 500, and it was, man, it's just the speed to go back and watch the entire race. You just see the speed, the entire 87 season. I mean, go back and watch anything on a moderate to big track and just listen to the horsepower and just watch how everything was so unrestricted, which it really was at the time. Everything was just so unrestricted that it was, it had to come to a head at some point. And that's exactly what it did at the 87 Winston 500 at Talladega. And it truly was. I mean, the headline that you're going to read when you see this, I mean, it really was the day that could have ended racing, certainly as we know it today, but certainly it could have ended racing very much even at the short track level. I still worry to this day about things like this happening, but we're going to go back into the YouTube files, and of course, all the video courtesy, everything that I use on these, all the courtesies are right there on these screens as I present all of this. But let's go back and take a look at the day. Man, I remember watching this as I'm a little bit older at the time, but I remember sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking, man, there is no way in hell that I just saw what I saw. And let's go back in time right here as I pull up the screen, the 87 Winston 500 at Talladega.
As they are going for that fourth position, Bobby Allison has it, but Buddy Baker has been challenging him for several laps now. And you can see how Buddy is running that low line, just as he explained a little bit earlier to us. That's where he likes to be, because simply that's the fastest way around Talladega.
Baker has been the cream in recent laps, meaning he started in seventh about 4 laps ago, and he's been steadily rising. He just passed Dale Earnhardt about a lap ago. Bobby Allison is next up. Son Davey should be next. You can see Earnhardt, the yellow car still in the picture. But Buddy Baker, who has a lot of sentiment on General Observer, as one of the real...
Oh, we have a problem. Bobby Allison with a horrible crash here on the front stretch. It has torn out a complete section of protective railing separating, and Alan Kowicki becomes involved.
Debris is collecting other cars. There was a lot of debris in the front stretch. Kowicki was involved. Richard Petty, I think, is another one of the cars. Lots of debris on the front stretch. Now, Bobby's car, to me, appeared to stay together
the initial response right there.
He didn't get up into the fencing,
what
but
did he
not
get up
into
and hit
the
right
stand.
there? And
it was close, though. He has torn out a whole large area of guardrail. There it is, protecting the crowd from the racetrack, and he came very, very close to going into the stands. The car became airborne and went flying literally into that wall and catch fencing, but fortunately it did stay onto the racetrack. Bobby Allison is moving around in the race car, and that is certainly good news for us, but he has to be quite shaken after a tremendous crash. The red flag has been brought out, and quite frankly, Larry, I think we're going to have to be red for quite a while, because we cannot race with that protective fencing in the shape that it's in. It's just not safe for the spectators.
It's pretty obvious why it was there, happening right underneath Harold Kinder.
Weird for me because
it wasn't the fence that caught him, but they have built a cement wall here at Talladega, just a little taller than most racetracks. There's Bobby getting out of the car. I told you that Bobby's car, though, was heavily damaged and did stay together. The integrity of the roll cage is intact. The crowd is giving Bobby a good warm
you got to think about that.
Welcome. This was before this was lived up to full NASCAR standards.
I mean,
Larry, I think a tire blew. I think I saw a tire coming apart while he was right here in the tri-oval nearing the starting line.
Right rear, it begins to shred, and the car goes out of control. You're at 210 miles an hour. You can see the right rear going. You see the debris there on the left-hand side of your screen. Earnhardt avoids Bobby. The car goes backwards. The aerodynamics get underneath the car, and Allison gets up into the fence. The aerodynamics lifted the car. They're not built to go backwards. Right underneath Harold Kinder. Harold, he stayed in there. Boy, I'll tell you, talk about a trooper. Kinder is right there. He's got the yellow flag out right away. That is a veteran, confident flagman. Here comes the rest of the field down. They decelerate to maybe 180 miles an hour, but all the debris, there's Petty, there's Kowicki spinning. There's just nowhere for many of these drivers to go, because there's so much of what was left over from the initial impact on the front stretch, and there was just nowhere to go.
And tires began to explode too as they ran over debris caused by the Allison crash. Well, it's very rare that you see that catch fencing do its job, but it sure did its job here at Talladega today. As if it hadn't been there, or if it had not been as strong strong as it was, Bobby Allison's car would very clearly have gone into the grandstand right below us here in the broadcast booth. There's the tire going.
Just continue to watch the replays right here.
We'll
About 4 years before this, at the local track that
there goes Darrell Walter
I would go
going by without becoming involved in it. But as I said, as the cars came down now, they were running over the debris of the Allison car, and tires were blowing. And
he knocked the dude
therefore, they became involved in the crash. There's
just
Petty,
fucking hits
Alan
the guy.
Palicki, Phil Parsons, made contact with the Bobby Allison car. We understand this brand new catch fencing up here, and
it hit the actual flag stand.
We just salute the people here at Talladega for building it as strong as they did. There is a stretcher that we can see down there, a couple of stretchers, as a matter of fact, being lifted into the grandstand area. So perhaps there were some spectators that were hit by flying debris. All right, Phil Parsons did make contact with the Bobby Allison car. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Debris everywhere.
Well, Phil Parsons still sitting in the car on pit road. The back of the car just about sheared away at that Copenhagen Oldsmobile. And Parsons talking to the crew chiefs. Apparently his day is over with. I don't think the car will be fixable. They're going to try to bring it behind the wall. Maybe we'll get a comment with Phil in just a moment and find out exactly what happened down there.
Stavola Buick
Phil gathering his thoughts, and you can see him sort of gesturing to his crew. I really don't know what happened, but I became involved there. Meanwhile, is the Bobby Allison car that is come to a rest, between the start-finish line and turn number one. The ambulances are there. The track crews
2001 is when we really started seeing kind of the changes right there.
Well, we will go inside now.
That I'm talking about.
Cale Yarborough's car and see how it looks to him.
One of the race cars.
There he is, following behind Greg Sachs, the Valvoline number 50. The action is beginning to unfold. It's already unfolded up in front of him, and there's Cale trying to weave his way through all the pieces lying on the ground. You can see that Greg Sachs goes into a spin. Greg made a left turn, a right turn. There's Cale. He's trying to avoid Rusty Wallace. He goes sideways. He goes up, gets along the outer wall. I think he avoided significant contact. He brings it back around. It does a reverse spin as he is beginning to fight at the wheel. And now he can use the banking to coast down to the bottom of the racetrack, crank it to the right, try and get that thing to start back up. And then the red light comes on, and
Bobby
the
Allison
engine is
racing next
installed.
week.
And then Cale Yarborough
apparently there was
scary moment for
nothing
Cale
wrong with
Yarborough,
him.
and a scary moment for many of these drivers who became
ironically,
involved in
Bobby's
this Bobby Allison
career
crash in the
ended,
Tribal. There is Richard Petty, who was also spinning, trying to avoid
would have ended
the
2
cars
years
that
later
were in front of him.
in an incident.
A comment, by the way, about Phil Parsons, whose car does appear to be
when you look at this right here, I mean, when you
he was
compare
one
what
of the
ended
dark
Bobby
horse
Allison's
favorites,
career
as many of you who
to
follow
this,
Winston Cup racing
the car
many
took
times
the car and the
cars will win
fence took the
here
brunt
at Talladega.
of the
Davey Allison,
that
Sterling
day at
Marlin, and
Talladega
Phil
with
Parsons
what ended his career.
are three of the people who had
the great
not
Bobby
won here
Allison's
recently
life.
that
He was
were
directly stopped.
Once again, a replay from the in-car camera of Cale Yarborough. This is at real speed, so it'll be just as Cale saw it.
What ended Bobby Allison's career and almost ended his life. You go back and look at it. It is amazing to me how all of this.
It appeared as if Cale pretty much had it saved, but
the fact
was hit a
that
couple
he
of
was
times
able to,
and then lost
that he was
control.
being Bobby,
he got hit from behind.
was able to stay out of the grandstand. I mean,
all right, let's go to Jerry Punch again and Phil Parsons.
Well, Phil's still sitting in the car on pit road trying to get the helmet unhooked. And Phil, what happened out there?
I have no idea. My spotter came on the radio and told me there's a big crash in the front stretch. So I was slowing way down right here in the travel and got slowed down pretty good. I was waving my hand because I was in a bunch of traffic, and I probably slowed down to 70 or 80 miles an hour, just picking my way through the debris, and somebody hit me from behind. I guess turned me around. I thought somebody else hit me then real hard, but that must have been when I hit Bobby. I heard somebody say that I hit Bobby after I got turned around, so I'm sure that's probably what it was.
Are you going to have to park it down?
I haven't looked at the car. I don't know. Not unless we absolutely have to. I'll assure you of that.
Yeah, there
well,
you
Phil
go.
Parsons in the car. Now take a look at the damage on the car as he climbs out. The car, the rear of the car comes.
Just more shots right here as I'm just kind of scrolling through.
Taken off the racetrack.
And again, with that impact, and we talk about the integrity of race cars right now. Look at that. After the ride he took, I mean, the windows are out. I mean, everything right there.
Hit by flying debris. The
it ripped the
security
rear
of the
end out of the
Talladega
race car.
Sheriff's Department is on the scene,
Damn
trying to
thing
keep the
rolled
crowd
in the
under
front.
control.
It
as
is
they assess the damage.
it is
and
truly
possible
unbelievable.
Injuries.
What happened on
that
that
is
day?
the area of the crash, and it is just
to get
almost underneath Harold Kinder's
hell, I believe Bill Elliott wound up
starting area.
This is one of those
Let's
races.
Once again go down to the pit area for this
all
report.
This happens, it's like
I'm with Benny Hertel. He's team manager for Stavola Racing. Benny, you were close to that accident.
Yeah, I was up there spotting for Bobby, and when he come through the trioval, the right rear tire blew, and that the air picked up the car and sent him right into the grandstands and ripped down a portion of the fence. And then when he came back onto the track, spun around a few more times, and he said he was all right for now. And then here come Phil Parsons and hit him again in the door. Then I asked him how he was, and he still said he was all right. So
unbelievable.
That's racing, I guess.
How about the grandstand? Could you see? Is everybody okay up there?
Everybody in the grandstand seemed to be okay from my vantage point, but I'm not really sure, Dick.
Well, that's good news. We certainly hope everybody is okay. Benny Hertel, he was real close to that thing. He said it almost got him.
Obviously, when I'm
all right,
doing a race,
Dick.
it's kind of
22 laps have been completed here at Talladega out of 188. That's kind of ironic because it was the number 22 car of Bobby Allison that started this multi-car accident here on the trioval. There is Allison's car being taken back to the garage area on the platform.
There you go. I mean, you're the one. In this case, Bobby Allison is fine.
Under a red flag at Talladega with 22 of 188 laps completed. There, the top five: Terry Labonte, Bill Elliott, Davey Allison, Buddy Baker, and Dale Earnhardt. We are under red because of a terrific crash here on the smiling now after gathering his thoughts and calming down just a bit.
Well, Bobby Allison just walked out of the infield care center. First of all, Bobby, are you okay?
I'm okay. Very thankful to the good Lord that I'm not hurt, and I hope nobody else down there is hurt too bad.
What happened down there?
I think I ran over something. I couldn't really tell. Something bounced under the car, and then the tire exploded. And I think I ran over something and cut my right rear tire down, and it spun the car in the trioval there, and up in the air it went, round backwards. So just nothing I could do.
Any recollection of hitting the fence or who might have hit you when you came down?
Well, I knew I hit the fence, and yeah, I recall that quite well. I don't know who else was involved, and I'm very disappointed anyone was involved. I'm very sorry about that.
Well, Bobby Allison, a true champion, even in defeat here at Talladega.
There you go. That's one of your dudes right there. It's Bobby Allison, just with that unbelievable ride that he had that day at the 1987 Winston 500. It's just so crazy to think that day happened. And like I said, it really, you don't like to go to the worst case scenario, but had that been, had that car wound up in the grandstands, and those were the days. I mean, you can go back and look at that, and those were the days when the place was full. It's the days when the place was full, and it could have been catastrophic. It would have not only, I mean, there have been a lot of people that would have succumbed to the massiveness of that car landing on them, parts and pieces. It wasn't going to be just a matter of where the car landed. It was going to be a matter of all of the after effects that were going to happen, after that right there. So you go back and you count your blessings that worked out, because it truly is the day that could have ended racing as we know it at every level, short track to regional to national. There would be no NASCAR. I promise you, there would be no NASCAR right now had that car wound up in those grandstands, because you go back and you look at it, and just think how things were laxed back then. I mean, you go to a cup race now, you go to some of these, major short tracks, and you see, next time you're at a racetrack, take a look at that catch fence, take a look at retaining walls. I mean, now you've got safer barriers, and you've got different things, and you can kind of go back and compare this to when Austin Dillon, two incidences, as a matter of fact, when he had Jeffrey Bodine. I think it was in the early 2000s, when Bodine in a truck gets up into the fence. It ripped that catch fence apart, not near to the magnitude of what we just watched right there at the 87 500 at Talladega. But then you go back and you look many years down the road with that night race, that rain delayed race that we finally got done to the end, and Austin Dillon up into the catch fence as well. And you had that one where the advances that we had seen by that point, where you didn't quite have the vulnerability of that fence at that time. But it was a horrible day. It was a horrible day in NASCAR history that happened, because there were people injured. But at the same time, it was a lucky day, because it could have been, when you really look at it, it could have been much worse. And like I said, it could have ended our sport. So thank you very much for the submission, for a little review of that one. And I'm happy to review other ones. I love walking through these with you guys, because I get messages after the fact, because I know a lot of times these kind of run randomly live, and there's no real schedule to do these, because these are kind of done, as I'm able to get away from different things and kind of pop in here to my home office and do these. So I'd love to do some more of these. So if you have one that you'd like to break down with me, even if it's a short track race, let me know. I'll track it down. We'll get some video. We'll get some permissions, and we'll go through, and I'll tell you what I was thinking when that happened, if I lived through it. And when I lived through that one, I was like, holy fuck, what just happened right here? It was a 1987 Winston 500 at Talladega, now Talladega Super Speedway. I like to say the day that could have ended racing as we know it. Chevrolet, GM Performance, #1 engine, parts, transmission, everything GM related dealer in the country, one of the industry leaders. Message us, let us know how we can get you set for 2024. And of course, the official apparel provider of not only the Dirty Air Racing Show, but the Texas-based Revved Up Sports Show. It is on-demand shirts out of the Alamo City in San Antonio. Hope you enjoyed this look back at, I guess we'll call it a glorious day. Scary as hell day is what it was. The 1987 Talladega Winston 500 from Talladega Super Speedway. The day Bobby Allison almost had a front row seat in the grandstands in his car. Thank God for the safety advances. You all have a great rest of the week. We'll do much more of these, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Remember, clean air is good. Times like this, and you want to talk about dirty air. There's a bunch of dirty air flying around when Bobby Allison blew that tire and went up into the catchments there at Talladega. Times like this, dirty air is just a tad bit better. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.